Welcome everyone. We'll talk about introduction to supply chain management in this particular video for your understanding. It's a very small and a short video. You will understand the nuances, fine nuances of supply chain management. Let us begin with the focus, keeping what are the issues that surround design and ongoing management of these areas. Common tools, techniques, introduction to supply chain and operation research model, SCOR model, analytical skills, both of qualitative and quantitative in natures, as on when on basis. So, what are we looking into it? First and foremost thing, let me tell you the three basic truths of supply chain management. One, that it is pervasive, it is all encompassing, come what may, it is pervasive. Second, it is interdependent, dependent on the end product, availability of the products, the transportation, the storage. It is absolutely interdependent as far as performance is concerned. And third, and the most important thing is profitability and survival. Without efficient, effective supply chain management, the company can never be profitable and company can never survive altogether. So three basic truths of supply chain management would be pervasive, interdependence, and profitability and survival. Let us talk about pervasiveness. Every organization must make a product or probably provide a service that somebody in the world should value. Because if you don't have end customers, you basically cease to exist. So we're talking about manufacturer, retailer, design firm, university, health services, you name it, and it is pervasive. Operation management, supply chain management is pervasive. Interdependence, most of organization function as a part of a larger supply chain. Everybody is in a process, everybody is in a queue, irrespective of which or where you are located. Each firms are in a queue, and it is only adding to the gross domestic product of a country per se. Supply chain, what are we looking into it? It is a network of manufacturer and service provider that works together to move goods from new material stage to the end user stage. So it's basically connecting the dots, and that is what we are looking at from manufacturing to service provider per se, linked through physical, probably informational, and monetary flows thereby. So that is why beauty of supply chain that comes across with it. The third aspect, the most important aspect, I've already recounted and elaborated, and I'm elaborating it again and again, is profitability and survival. Any organization will not survive if it is not profitable at all, and supply chain contributes the maximum thrust to it. Organization must carefully manage their operation, probably manage their supply chain to prosper and indeed to survive. Let's say a shoe manufacturer, how many shoes should we make? What is the mix? What resources do we require for the shoes? What will be the outcome? Where can we locate a plant or probably a retail store? Key performance area. Is it cost? Is it quality? Is it speed? Do we need to produce n numbers of shoes? Do we need to produce n numbers of shoes with a requisite quality, or should it be the most affordable shoes that is available in the market? Now you decide upon it. The for a shoe manufacturer, there are so many questions that needs to be answered. Let us understand. Supply chain management is active management of all activities and relationship that maximizes customer values and probably achieve a sustainable competitive advantages thereof. So what are we talking about it? It's active management of supply chain and activities, relationship to manage customer value and achieve a sustainable competitive advantages thereby. Look how the material flows around it. If you look into the transportation company that comes across it, the transportation companies will actually ensure that everything is moving one way or the other way. When I say one way, it might be upstream or it might be downstream. So we are talking about towards the customers or towards the source, towards the raw material. Now what are we looking out here? Towards the customers, a distribution and retailer that comes around it, as in the final customers, and the raw material that comes around, which needs to be sourced from different places altogether. So what are the issues for supply chain management? First, how long is the chain, or should I say the length of the chain matters a lot. So where should you be located? Near the source, near the raw material, or near the customers? You need to understand what are the complexity that comes around it. There are certain businesses which is cyclical in nature, right? They are not in business, or they are not affluent at certain points of the year. So that needs to be understood. How stable our business might be. Looking into it, despite the fact that it has been compromised, we are looking for it. Then comes the physical and information and the materials flow, monetary flow thereby. This needs to be addressed time and again. So, the supply chain operation reference model, as we are talking about it, consists of planning activities, sourcing activities, make or buy decisions, delivery activities, and return activities as we keep on talking about it. Now, what is this operation reference model is all about it? We should plan prior to any operations initiations. So we need to plan it to the core. Everything should be absolutely in black and white. Sourcing activities should be earmarked. We should decide whether we are going to having going for a in-house production, or probably we are outsourcing it from the other things. The delivery activities, who are going to be our channel partner, the return activities, what are the return policy that needs to be doing about it. So yes, SCOR, the supply chain operation reference model, states everything. As you have been looking out here, this is the uh, description that has been given in our figures as what can be doing about it and how planning comes around it. So we are talking about delivery, return, sourcing and return, delivering and return, sourcing and return, make or buy decisions, and probably there we are coming into a conclusion as to what should be the process that we are going to follow. Every minute detail should be noted down. Every impediments or perceived hindrance that might occur should be tactfully acknowledged, and probably steps to deal with it should be mentioned in SCOR, or supply chain operational resource model per se. Let's say in early 1990s, Walmart stated individual stores sent sales data daily to the Walmart supplier via satellite. The supplier planned production accordingly, shipped based on these sales data. Walmart used its own dedicated fleet to ship from its warehouses to store the requisite number of ingredients, or should I say the material, the items that is required uh, in a store. Now, this is how Walmart optimized its processes then and there, and probably could hammer down the prices of our goods thereby. So, what are the important trends that is being projected of late? We are seeing an influx or growth of electronic commerce. Why? Because it reduces the cost. Why? Because the time associated is getting tinkered upon with supply chain relationship. So cost and time is the most important thing that comes around it. Another thing that has been noticed is increased competition from globalization. Few industries protected by geography per se. Relationship management is competition between chains, not individual firms. Trust, coordination, and that is what we are looking forward to it. Operation and supply chain activities are process selection, design, process design, and process improvement. Now, these are the things that we need to marginally improve ourselves, incrementally improve upon ourselves, and that will facilitate a huge profitability in due courses of time. Forecasting for decision making, capacity planning for capital investments and resource levels, inventory management for mount and location thereby, planning and control for work scheduling, meeting demand, purchasing, managing supplier relationships, logistic or acquisitions, and distribution that needs to be taken care of. Essentially, what are we looking at it? I'll give you a different views of supply chains altogether. Just for your understanding, cycles, I will be utilizing customer order cycles. We can have supply chain built upon customer order cycles. We can talk about replenishment cycles in terms of retailers. We might be talking about the manufacturer cycles. Now, what is happening with the raw materials? What raw materials are being consumed and how the end products have been gathered around. We need to map it out. This is what we are looking at as far as procurement cycles for the suppliers and the manufacturers that comes around it. Let me address them one by one, and before we wind up this particular presentation. Customer order cycle are all process directly involved in receiving and filing a customer order. Let's say the major phases are customer arrival in your retail store, telemarketing centers. Basically, the inquiries are coming in. Phase one is to maximize footfalls, maximize customer arrival, customer order entry has been taken. Phased objective is to ensure that the order gets entered quickly, accurately, and communicated to all supply chain procedures, processes that has been affected. Customers orders fulfillment is phase number two. Gets the correct order, completed order to the customer within the promised date, time at the lowest possible cost. Now, this is my next phase objective. And the last is customer order receiving. Phased objective is to complete the transaction in a much professional fashion per se. Let us talk about the replenishment cycle, all the process that is involved in replenishing the retailer inventory, and how do we go across with it. The primary objective is replenishing the inventories at the retailer at the lowest possible cost while providing a certain availability of the customer. The major phases are retail order trigger. This is what we need to go about it. You have to have a buffer stock before you reorder it, so that your store never gets to lose that item at any point of time. Retail order entry, retail order fulfillment, and retail order receiving. Again, the major phases are retail order trigger, retail order entry, retail order fulfillment, and retail order receiving per se. Let us introduce to the manufacturing cycle. All processes involved in generating products that will fill the customer retailer and distribution order. It is driven by the actual orders placed with the manufacturer. Forecast for the expected future demand, the current cost, the current product availability in the manufactured finished product warehouse. What are we looking into it? Primary objective is to meet the actual and forecasted demand in timely and a cost effective fashion within the scope of the available production capacity. Major phase is order arrival from distributor, retailer, or customer. Production scheduling, manufacturing, shipping, we are looking into it. Receiving at the distributors and the retailers or the customers, that is what is forms the bulk of the cycle altogether. Remember, the primary objective is to meet the forecasted demand, meet the actual or the forecasted demand in a best possible fashion, both time wise and cost wise. The major phases are order arrival, production scheduling, manufacturing and shipping, and receiving it from the distributor and the retailer. Let me come up to the last segment of procurement cycle. All process necessary to ensure that the materials are available for manufacturing to occur to scheduling places every now and then. Now, this is a major phase, similar to the cycle characterizing the interaction between the distributors and the manufacturer. However, demand is driven by manufacturer's production schedule rather than more exogenous market factors, or should I say the customer behavior, as the case might be. This is what is required. Please understand that demand driven by manufacturing production schedule is most exogenous than the market factors. So, uh, giving a different prism view to understand the supply chain process or the supply chain operations, it's a push versus the pull view. Categorizes categorizes the supply chain processes based whether they are initiated in response to the customer order, that is pull, or in anticipation of the customer order, that is push. So there are two things: the pull order and the push order. If the order has been generated from the customer side, it's pulling. If it is generated from the manufacturing side, it has been pushed around it. So examples are compact computers. All processes except for those involving customer orders are push type. Everything has been generated on the other hand. Can we contrast with the Dell computers? Dell assembles its computer in two orders, and therefore all processes except for those involved in procurement cycle are pull orders. As on when on the customer fascination, their specification, Dell will reassemble the computers and deliver it to the customized uh, person. So that is what we are looking into it. Generally, if possible, a pull organization of the supply chain provides much tighter control of inventory cost than the ability to support a higher level of product customization. Let me give you or introduce to that various definitions that has been given upon supply chain management. Let's say the first definition has been given by Council of Logistic Management. The process of planning, implementing, and controlling the efficient, effective flow and storage of goods, services, and related information from the point of origin to the point of consumption for the purpose of conforming to the customer requirement. And this is what Logistic Management Council states. On the other hand, Chopra and Mendel, what does they come across? They say the primary purpose of existence of any supply chain is to satisfy customer needs in the process of generating profit for itself. Supply chain activities begin with customer orders and when a satisfied customer has paid for his or her purchases thereby. Now, these are the very clarifying definitions that has been given around it. Let me give it to you the breakdowns quickly. The strategy or the design issue is how to structure supply chain. Let's say in terms of years, what are the scope, logical configuration of supply chain processes, and the various operational cycle. Let's say the physical configuration of supply chain, location wise, capacity wise, transportation wise, and probably with the advent of internet, information technology infrastructure is required. So we have a planning issues, determining the operational policy that will drive the short term decision making scope, which markets to be supplied by which location, planned build up of inventories, levels of subcontracting, timing and size of the market promotion. That is very important. You need not spend much of the promotion activities on advertisement, because it is at the end of the day, if the revenues are not trickling in, it is eating into your profits. So it should be comparable. Last but not the least would be operational issues, implementing the operating policies in the best possible fashion. Like scopes are on a daily basis, on a shift basis, on a weekly basis. What are we looking into it? Allocating individual orders to inventory or production. Set a date that the order has to be filled in. Generate the pick list for a warehouse. Allocate an order to a particular shipping mode and shipment. Set delivery schedules for trucks. Place replenishment order per se. And this is what the differences between a strategic goals and an operational issues would always be going around it. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the end. I'm sure everybody has understood the nitty-gritties of supply chain management thereby, or SCOR model as such. Thank you once again.